Hello and welcome back to my channel. I'm Sarah Edens, a finance coach, author, and wealth mindset researcher, and I'm here to help you unlock your inner millionaire by developing a wealth mindset and finance skills. Today we're talking about 5 easy steps to mindful spending. So mindful spending is really an important concept to get right with your finance skills, and it's all about being present in the moment and not getting sucked into buying something on a whim or because it's on sale or something like that, and being able to really be present and be calm and centered when you're spending your money. Because we spend and do everything else in life very differently when we're calm and centered and balanced versus when we're stressed and fearful and upset. It's just a biological reality for us. And so mindfulness in your spending will go a long way towards helping you become financially independent because, a lot of times maybe we're fairly mindful about larger purchases, but then the small ones we just don't even really think through. And those small purchases add up over time if you're constantly making a lot of low dollar, thoughtless purchases that don't really bring you joy. So here's the 5 easy steps to mindful spending. Number 1 is take inventory of what you already have before buying something new. So this is a really good place to start. So it can be very helpful to go through your home, go through your pantry or your fridge if you're on your way to the grocery store, sort through your garage, sort through your closets, just really be able to think through before you make another purchase. Do I already have something like this? Do I have multiple something like this that I forgot to buy? Because sometimes you just end up with extra stuff in your life just because you forgot that you already had something that was exactly the same or did the same thing. So really kind of go through and take inventory of what you have before you buy anything new. Number 2 is to implement the 48-hour rule with all fun money purchases. And I just think of fun money as anything that's discretionary. So we're not talking about, housing or food or bills or anything like this. We're just talking about purely, spending on your wants list. So this is a really good thing. And anytime when you're shopping online in particular, you'll always have the option either to buy now or save for later, or add to favorites, or add to loves. The language varies from website to website. Use that little save for later button because it is your new best friend, because that lets you sleep on your purchases before you even make them and have that 48-hour cooling off period where you can really kind of pause and reflect. And again, going back to point 1, maybe you need to take inventory and see if you've already got something similar or if this is really going to fill a gap in your wardrobe or your pantry or your home. And so that 48-hour rule is extremely, extremely helpful. It just helps you just be able to take that pause, take that little moment, and not end up with a purchase that you didn't think through and probably won't bring you that much joy in the long run. Number 3 is to promptly return all purchases that do not work for you and make sure that the money gets refunded back to your payment method. So this is a really good one too. So if you do have an impulse buy that you make and you're like, oh darn, now I got this home or it just got delivered and this really isn't right for me, then what you can do is just promptly take it back. You don't have to offer any explanation. You don't have to offer any, detailed, lengthy excuses for why it didn't work out. You can just simply, if you're returning it in person, just say this didn't work for me. And then if you're returning something online, just make sure to hang on to the tracking numbers or have some way to track that parcel as it gets shipped back to the company you got it from, and make sure that the money gets refunded once they receive your item back, because you wouldn't believe the number of times that I've shipped back a return and it has just gotten lost somewhere along the way. It doesn't happen very often, but every once in a while something will actually get lost when I'm returning it, and so then I won't get my refund and I'll reach out to the company and say, hey, where's my money back? And they're like, well, we never got the return. So then if you have the tracking information, then you can just say, I sent it back on such and such a day and here's the tracking info. And that way you get your hard-earned money back and it's not just floating around out there with some company paying for something you don't even have anymore. Number 4 is do not fall for FOMO marketing techniques. So FOMO, or fear of missing out, is a very common strategy that marketers will use because our brains are hardwired to worry more about things we miss than things that we don't miss. And so if there's a sale, it's very compelling reason to be like, oh, I need to buy this right now because it's on sale, or it's a clearance, or it's a last chance to buy it, or something of that nature. So really be cautious when it comes to shopping sales, because it's such a powerful marketing technique that really drives our impulses to purchase that item, whether or not you need it. So it's perfectly fine to shop sales, and I'm all for shopping the sales and not paying full price. However, just make sure that it's something you actually need, you don't have duplicates of it home already, and that it's something that will bring you joy. And don't just buy it for the heck of it just because it's on sale, because we've probably all done this at one point or another, probably more than once, is just purchase something because it was on a sale. And then sometimes the things that are on sale are honestly not very high quality, and there's a reason they were on sale, because the company was just trying to clearance out their inventory so they could move on and sell something else. So, it just depends. Sales are all a little bit different, but just be aware of that fear of missing out marketing techniques, and just think of it as something that you need to tread carefully if you're feeling like you need to rush out and buy something because it's on sale just for that purpose. Like you weren't even thinking about it, and then you saw it was on sale, and all of a sudden that's the only thing you can think about, whether or not you have the money for it either. So something to be cognizant of there. And number 5 is to sort through your current belongings once a year, or perhaps more. If you like to go through them, you could do it twice a year, quarterly. If you're really motivated, you could go through your things monthly, and really kind of edit out which of your possessions is bringing you joy, and which things are things you haven't touched in 2-3 years and forgot you had. And of course, you knew I was going to recommend this book, The Life-Changing Magic of Tidying Up by Marie Kondo. Probably everyone has heard about this by now, but if you haven't read this book, then definitely check it out. It's absolutely fabulous. She's got a TV series as well. But this is a really, really good book to kind of, if you need a refresher on how to part with your possessions, because a lot of times, we'll have a lot of things that will accumulate over the course of our life, and we might be holding on to those things, not because we're using them, but because we think we might need them down the road, and we're just worried about letting go of those things. So she goes through a lot about how to be able to just like decide what to keep and what to let go of. This is another good book too. This is a really good book from a self-published author who I love, Fiona Ferris. I'll link to this as well. It's called 100 Ways to Declutter Your Home. And it's a really thin little book, but I really like it. It's just a checklist of 100 ways to declutter your home, but they're really practical. And she's just a really, really fun writer and has all kinds of practical ideas in all of her books. I think I have most of Fiona's books, and they've been very, very helpful. And so that's another good resource to use as well if you just need to get some inspiration on how to be able to decide what to keep, decide what to get rid of. And then I think for me personally, what I try to remember too is if I've got something that I'm clinging to, because, it's not like I don't tend to get rid of things that are, childhood memories attached to them or anything like that, anything that's kind of an heirloom or treasured possession like that. But just some of the other stuff that we end up with in our lives, I try to remember that, especially if I don't feel strongly about it, I'm actually depriving someone else of getting joy out of it if I keep it and it's just sitting in my closet or the garage or the attic just gathering dust, and it's kind of selfish to hang on to it, because that item can be sold at a charity store, Goodwill, Salvation Army, what have you, and the money can go to helping the community, as well as that item bringing a lot of joy to someone else. So I always try to remember that, because I think it can be kind of painful to part with your things sometimes, especially if they hold some good memories. It can be very hard to part with those types of things. And I saw something else recently where they were saying if you're having trouble getting rid of stuff, just hang on to the memories and get rid of the things. So keep your memories and get rid of the stuff, because none of us do well when we're surrounded by mess and clutter and having that kind of in our lives. And so that can be something else. And then the thing that's really good too about mindful spending is if you go through and do these 5 steps and you've edited stuff through, you're not shopping the sales just because they're there. You're not doing a lot of impulse shopping. And I've got another video on impulse shopping that I'll link to in the description as well. But if you're really practicing mindful spending, then the things that you invite into your home, that you purchase and bring into your home, will probably be things that are high quality, that will last a long time, and that will bring you joy for a very long time because you were mindful about them when you were purchasing them in the first place. Because I know for me, a lot of the things that tend to clutter out my life are things I bought on shopping sprees, things I bought when I was having a bad day, stuff I bought on sale that I thought, oh, we'll use that down the road, and then we absolutely never did, or just stuff that I ended up with multiples of. And, I'm like, why do I have 6 of the same kind of shovel when we really only need like 1 or maybe 2? What's going on with this? So it is just really good to go through and, edit your stuff, but then have that confidence going forward as you're building mindful spending habits that you won't have quite so much stuff to edit out. Your home will feel more organized, less chaotic, and you just aren't going to have the same degree of clutter kind of constantly showing up in little boxes on your doorstep, and then having to figure out where to put everything, and just having it take up space in your home. So those are the 5 easy steps to spending more mindfully. Thank you so much for joining me. And as always, I really appreciate it if you enjoyed this video, if you'd subscribe, and if you would give this video a thumbs up and leave a comment. I would really appreciate that. I always enjoy reading your comments and your messages over on Instagram, so thank you so much for all of those. And I will see you again soon in my next video.